The massive alien ships appeared above Earth's major cities on a quiet Tuesday morning. They hung in the sky like dark mountains, blocking out the sun. People stopped their cars on highways. Children pointed from school windows. A whole world held its breath. In New York, Captain James stood on the roof of the United Nations building. He watched the biggest ship position itself directly overhead. His military uniform felt heavy on his shoulders. Beside him, Dr. Lisa checked her tablet again and again. The readings made no sense. "Their technology is beyond anything we have," she said. Her voice shook slightly. "The energy signatures are off the charts." James nodded, but kept his eyes. "On the ship, they haven't attacked yet. That's something." The alien ship's bottom opened like a giant eye. A beam of blue light shot down, landing in the plaza below. 3 figures stepped out of the light. They were tall, maybe 8 feet, with gray skin and 4 arms. Their faces had no visible mouth, just 3 black eyes arranged in a triangle. The lead alien raised one of its hands. Suddenly, every screen on Earth showed the same image, the alien's face. When it spoke, the words appeared directly in everyone's mind, translated perfectly into their own language. "Humans of Earth," the voice said. It was cold and emotionless. "We are the Dominion. We have watched your species for centuries. You have reached the point where you must choose. Submit to our rule and join our empire as servants, or face complete destruction." James felt his jaw tighten. Around the world, he knew other military leaders were having the same thought. Earth had faced many challenges, but never this. The alien continued. "You have fought among yourselves for resources, for land, for beliefs. This ends now. Under our rule, you will have peace. You will serve a greater purpose. You have 12 hours to decide." The transmission ended. The screens went dark. In the sudden silence, James heard Lisa drop her tablet. It clattered on the concrete roof. 12 hours, she whispered. "How can we possibly decide the fate of our entire species in 12 hours? James pulled out his phone. It was already ringing. The president was calling. So were the leaders of Russia, China, Britain, and every other major nation. For the first time in human history, they all had the same question. What do we do? In a small town in Kansas, a farmer named Bob stood in his field. He looked up at the alien ship hovering over the nearby city. His daughter Mary stood beside him, holding his hand tightly. "Dad, are we going to be slaves?" she asked. Bob looked down at his daughter. She was 10 years old, with her mother's brave eyes. "No, sweetheart," he said firmly. "Humans don't give up without a fight." Across the ocean, in a laboratory in Japan, Professor Tanaka worked frantically at his computer. He had been studying signals from space for 30 years. Now, finally, the aliens had come. But something bothered him about their message. "Too confident," he muttered to his assistant. "They're too confident." His assistant looked confused. "Sir?" Tanaka turned his screen toward the younger man. "Look at these energy readings. Yes, their technology is advanced, but it's not perfect. See these fluctuations? Their shields have a pattern, a weakness." Back at the UN, an emergency meeting was in chaos. Representatives shouted over each other. Some wanted to surrender. Others wanted to fight. A few suggested trying to negotiate. James stood up and slammed his hand on the table. The room went quiet. "Listen to me," he said. "They expect us to be afraid. They expect us to see their technology and give up. But they don't know us. They don't know that humans have survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters. We adapt. We overcome. We rise." The room stayed silent, but now people were nodding. "I say we show them what humanity is really made of," James continued. "Not in 12 hours, right now." The vote was unanimous. Earth would not submit. As the news spread across the planet, something unexpected happened. Old enemies shook hands. Scientists shared secrets they had guarded for years. Every factory that could build weapons started working. Every person who could help did. The aliens had made one crucial mistake. They had given humanity a common enemy. 6 hours had passed since the ultimatum. The alien ships remained motionless in the sky, waiting for Earth's answer. But humanity wasn't waiting. In an underground bunker beneath Geneva, the world's leaders gathered around a massive holographic display. General Smith from the American forces stood at the center, pointing at weak points in the alien formations. Their ships maintain a hexagonal pattern, he explained. It's efficient, but it creates blind spots here and here. He marked 2 areas with red circles. If we can hit these points simultaneously, we might disrupt their formation. President Wilson leaned forward. What about their shields? Our weapons can't penetrate them. Dr. Lisa entered the room, carrying a modified missile. Maybe they can now. She set the weapon on the table. Professor Tanaka discovered their shields operate on a specific frequency. We've modified our missiles to pulse at the opposite frequency. In theory, they should pass right through. In theory? Asked Commander Ivan from Russia. We'll know in 6 hours, Lisa replied. Above ground, the cities had transformed. Instead of panic, there was purpose. In London, civilians helped soldiers set up defensive positions. In Tokyo, engineers worked around the clock to upgrade defense systems. In Cairo, ancient bunkers from old wars were reopened and reinforced. Tom, a construction worker from Chicago, welded steel plates to create makeshift shields. His friend Mike worked beside him. Never thought I'd be preparing for an alien invasion, Mike said, sweat dripping down his face. Tom grinned. Never thought the whole world would work together either. Look at this. He pointed to the street where American, Chinese, and Russian soldiers shared equipment and strategies. The aliens noticed the activity. From the lead ship, Commander Zach watched the humans through advanced sensors. His lieutenant approached with concern in all 3 eyes. Commander, the humans are not preparing to surrender. They appear to be mobilizing for war. Zach's mental voice carried amusement. Let them try. No species has ever successfully resisted the Dominion. Their primitive weapons cannot harm us. But as Zach watched, something strange happened. The humans weren't just building weapons. They were doing something the Dominion had never seen before. They were sharing everything: technology, resources, information. No planet had ever united this quickly. In Brazil, a young hacker named Carlos cracked into a satellite system. He had an idea. If we can't match their technology, he told his team, maybe we can confuse it. Within an hour, every hacker on Earth was part of Carlos's network. They prepared a massive cyber attack, not to destroy, but to overwhelm the alien systems with meaningless data, millions of cat videos, song lyrics, and memes. Meanwhile, in Moscow, Dr. Anna made a breakthrough. She had been analyzing the blue light the aliens used for transport. It's not just light, she announced to her team. It's a form of energy we can track. If we can track it, we can predict where they'll appear next. The information was immediately shared with every military command center on Earth. 5 hours remained. In the space station orbiting Earth, astronaut John and his crew of 6 watched the alien fleet from above. They had a unique view of the enemy's positions. John, you seeing this? Called his crewmate Emma. She pointed to the far side of the moon. John floated over and looked through the telescope. More ships. They have reinforcements waiting. We need to warn Earth, Emma said. But their communication systems had been jammed by the aliens. John thought for a moment, then smiled. Remember that old mirror experiment we did last month? Using the station's solar panels as mirrors, They began flashing a message in Morse code to the observatories below. It was primitive, but it worked. Back in the bunker, the message was received. General Smith's face grew grim. They have a second wave? Even if we succeed against these ships, more will come. The room fell silent. Then, a young advisor named David spoke up. What if that's exactly what we want? Everyone turned to look at him. David continued. If we can capture one of their ships, study their technology, ... That's impossible, someone said. So was flying until we did it, David replied. So was reaching the moon until we did it. The impossible is just another challenge for humanity to overcome. General Smith studied the young man, then nodded. Change of plans. We don't just resist, we capture. With 3 hours left, humanity's response had evolved from defense to offense. The aliens wanted submission, but humans were preparing something else entirely. Commander Zack received a message from his lieutenant. Commander, the humans' activity has increased. They seemed ... excited? For the first time in centuries, Zack felt uncertain. No species had ever responded to the Dominion's ultimatum. With excitement, asterisk. 1 hour remained before the deadline. Earth's skies were filled with activity. Fighter jets from every nation flew in coordinated formations. The modified missiles were loaded and ready. Humanity's response was about to begin. In the command bunker, General Smith watched the countdown clock. All units, prepare for Operation Rising Sun. Remember, we need one ship intact. Around the world, soldiers, scientists, and civilians held their breath. This was it. 30 seconds, someone announced. Dr. Lisa stood next to a giant red button that would launch the modified missiles. Her hand hovered over it, steady despite her racing heart. 10 seconds. Tom and Mike stood on a Chicago rooftop with hundreds of others watching the alien ship above them. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Execute. Lisa slammed the button. Instantly, thousands of missiles launched from every corner of Earth. They streaked toward the alien ships, pulsing with the frequency that Professor Tanaka had discovered. Commander Zack watched the approaching missiles with amusement. Activate shields. Show these primitives the futility of resistance. The blue shields shimmered around each alien ship. But then something impossible happened. The missiles passed through the shields like they weren't there. Commander, our shields are not stopping them. The first impacts were devastating. Explosions rocked the alien ships. Some listed to the side, others sparked with electrical fires. The ship over Moscow lost power completely and began to slowly descend. That's when Carlos and his hacker army struck. They flooded the alien communication systems with billions of files. Cat videos played on the alien command screens. Pop songs blared through their communication channels. Memes covered their tactical displays. What is this? Zack roared, his 3 eyes blinking rapidly at an image of a dancing banana on his screen. While the aliens were confused, humanity's second wave began. Special forces teams used the transport beams the aliens had left active. But instead of going up to the ships, they reversed the polarity, a trick Professor Tanaka had figured out. Soldiers materialized inside the alien vessels. Captain James led the team that appeared on the New York ship. The corridors were dark purple, with ceilings 20 feet high. Alien crew members turned in shock. They had never been boarded before. Secure the bridge. James shouted. The firefight was intense but brief. Human weapons, it turned out, worked just fine inside the ships. The aliens, used to fighting from a distance with superior technology, were not prepared for close combat with determined humans. In Moscow, the descending ship was caught by massive electromagnetic nets that Dr. Anna had designed. It crashed into a field outside the city. Damaged but intact, exactly what humanity needed. Russian forces immediately surrounded it. Within minutes, scientists were cutting through the hull, eager to study the alien technology. Commander Zach watched his perfect invasion fall apart. A third of his ships were damaged. One was captured. His communications were still showing something called Rick-rolling on repeat. "Impossible," he said. "These are primitives. They have nuclear weapons." At best, his lieutenant cowered. "Commander, perhaps we underestimated them." "Launch the ground forces," Zach ordered. "If we cannot take them from above, we will take them on their own terrain." Blue beams shot down from the remaining ships. Alien soldiers materialized in major cities. Each stood 8 feet tall, wearing powered armor and carrying energy weapons. Humanity was ready for this two-dot in Tokyo. The aliens appeared in the middle of what looked like an empty square. Suddenly, the ground exploded beneath them. Hidden mines that Professor Tanaka's team had planted sent the invaders flying in London. The aliens found themselves facing not just soldiers, but civilians armed with improvised weapons. A grandmother threw acid from her window. Children shot fireworks at the invaders' eyes. The entire city had become a weapon. The most surprising resistance came in rural areas. In Texas, farmers had mounted machine guns on tractors. In Australia, hunters who knew every inch of the outback led aliens into traps. In Siberia, the cold that Russians had used to defeat invaders for centuries worked against the aliens too. Their armor seized up in the freezing temperatures. But the real surprise came from space. Astronaut John and his crew had not been idle. They had turned the space station into a weapon. Using spare parts and determination, they had built a massive electromagnetic pulse device. "Ready?" John asked his crew. "Let's show them that Earth fights from all directions," Emma replied. They activated the device. A pulse of energy swept over the alien fleet. Ships flickered and went dark. Some crashed into each other. Others simply stopped working and began. Drifting. Commander, Zach's ship shook violently. Emergency lights came on. "Status report," he demanded. "We've lost 40% of our fleet. Ground forces are being overwhelmed. The humans. They're not fighting like any species we've encountered." Zach stared at Earth through his viewing screen. For the first time in the Dominion's history, a primitive planet was winning. Asterisk, a captured alien ship in Moscow, had become humanity's most important location. Scientists from every nation worked together, taking apart alien technology and learning its secrets. Dr. Anna led the research team. "This is incredible," she said, examining an alien power core. "It's fusion, but far more advanced than anything we imagined. If we can understand this..." Professor Tanaka nodded excitedly. "We could jump ahead centuries in technology. Look at this." He held up a small device. It's their translation system. It works by directly interfacing with neural patterns. Outside, the battle continued to rage. The aliens had regrouped and launched a second assault. But something had changed in humanity. Fear had transformed into determination. In New York, Captain James still held the bridge of the captured ship. His team had figured out basic controls. The ship's computer, once they bypassed the dancing banana virus, was surprisingly intuitive. "Sir, I think I found their communication system," reported Private Kelly, a young woman who had studied computer engineering before joining the Army. "Can you send a message to their commander?" Kelly smiled. "I can do better than that. I can broadcast to their entire fleet." Meanwhile, in the streets below, 8-year-old Tommy watched an alien soldier advance toward his family's apartment building. His father stood in front of the door with a baseball bat, a futile gesture against alien technology. But Tommy had an idea. He grabbed his super soaker water gun, filled it with the hot sauce his mother used for cooking, and ran to the window. "Hey, ugly!" He shouted. The alien looked up, just as Tommy sprayed the hot sauce directly into its 3 eyes. The creature screamed, a sound like grinding metal, and stumbled backward, clawing at its face. Tommy's father and other residents seized the opportunity, rushing forward to tackle the blinded alien. This scene repeated across Earth. Humans were using everything they had, not just weapons, but ingenuity. In India, people used mirrors to reflect the aliens' own energy weapons back at them. In Egypt, sand was used to clog their armor joints. In Norway, fishing nets tangled their legs. But the real turning point came from an unexpected source. In the command bunker, a message arrived from the space station. John and his crew had made a discovery while observing the alien reinforcement fleet near the moon. General Smith. John's voice crackled through the communication system. The reinforcement fleet isn't moving. They're just waiting. Waiting. For what? Smith asked. I think they're waiting to see if the first wave succeeds. Sir, I don't think the Dominion usually has to send a second wave. They're not prepared for failure. General Smith turned to his advisors. If they're not prepared for failure, let's show them what complete failure looks like. In Moscow, Dr. Anna's team had cracked the alien propulsion system. We can fly. Their ship, she announced. Within an hour, human pilots were training on alien controls. The learning curve was steep, but humans had always been fast learners when survival was at stake. Commander Zack received a priority message from his reinforcement fleet. Commander, should we advance? Before he could respond, every screen in. His ship lit up, but instead of another meme, it showed Captain James standing on the bridge of the captured New York ship. Commander Zack, James said calmly. This is Captain James of Earth. We have captured your vessels. We have defeated your ground forces, and we have learned your technology. You came here expecting submission. Instead, you found something else. James paused, letting his words sink in. You found a species that has survived everything the universe has thrown at us. We've survived ice ages that should have killed us. We've survived plagues that wiped out millions. We've survived wars against ourselves that nearly ended our world. And each time, we came back stronger. Behind James, the Earth could be seen through the ship's viewport, blue, beautiful, and unconquered. But here's what you really didn't understand about humans, James continued. We don't just survive. We adapt, we learn, and we turn our enemies' strengths into our own. As if to prove his point, the Moscow ship, now under human control, rose into the air. It flew perfectly, its weapon systems online and aimed at the Dominion fleet. You have 2 choices, James said. Leave now and never return, or face a species that has learned your technology in a matter of hours. Imagine what we'll do with it in days, weeks, or years. Commander Zack's 3 eyes widened. No species had ever captured and operated Dominion technology before. It should have taken decades to understand, not hours. His lieutenant whispered urgently, Commander, if they share this technology with other species in the galaxy, ... The implication was clear. If humanity could reverse engineer Dominion technology this quickly and share it, the entire empire could face rebellion. Commander Zack stood silent for a long moment. His empire had conquered 1,000 worlds. None had ever fought back like this. None had ever won. All ships, he finally commanded, prepare for immediate withdrawal. His lieutenant's 3 eyes blinked in shock. Commander, we're retreating? We're not retreating, Zack corrected. We're acknowledging a miscalculation. The humans are not primitives. They're something else entirely. Around Earth, the remaining alien ships began to power up their engines. But Captain James wasn't finished. Commander Zack, James broadcast. Before you leave, understand this. We know about your reinforcement fleet. We know about your empire. And now we have your technology. The captured alien ship in Moscow lifted higher, its weapons charging. Dr. Anna had figured out how to boost their power beyond normal limits. James continued, Earth is no longer just a planet. As of today, we're a warning to anyone who thinks they can conquer us. And more than that, we're going to share what we've learned. In the bunker, General, Smith gave the order. Broadcast everything, every frequency, every direction. Let the entire galaxy know what happened here. The message went out into space. Earth had defeated the Dominion. The technical specifications of the captured technology were included. Any species under Dominion rule would receive the knowledge to fight back. Commander, Zach's ship received dozens of urgent messages from across the Empire. Slave worlds were already downloading the Earth broadcast. Rebellions were starting. What have you done? Zach transmitted to Earth. This time, it wasn't James who answered. It was Tommy's father, speaking from New York through a captured alien communicator. We did what humans always do. We survived, we learned, and we shared. You came here thinking we were alone and weak. But humans are never truly alone. We stand together. Across Earth, people emerged from their shelters. The alien ground forces were surrendering, begging to be returned to their ships. Humans, surprisingly, showed mercy. The captured aliens were allowed to leave as the Dominion fleet prepared to depart. One smaller ship broke formation and approached Earth. A different alien appeared on the screens, younger looking, with brighter eyes. Humans of Earth, it said. I am Kai, a scientist of the Dominion. Or I was. Your victory has shown us something we forgot long ago. That strength comes not from conquest, but from unity and adaptation. May I request ... asylum? The request stunned everyone. An alien wanting to stay on Earth? President Wilson responded personally. Why should we trust you? Because, Kai replied, I can teach you to use the technology properly. And because I want to learn from you. The Dominion conquers. But you inspire. Already, 3 worlds have declared independence after hearing your broadcast. The vote was quick and unanimous. Kai was granted asylum, becoming Earth's first alien resident. As the Dominion fleet retreated beyond the moon, they stopped at their reinforcement fleet. Commander Zach sent one final message to Earth. Humans, you have won more than a battle today. You have changed the galaxy. The Dominion will not return to Earth. But know this, others will come, some as enemies, some as friends. Be ready. The transmission ended. The massive fleet turned and disappeared into hyperspace, leaving Earth's skies clear for the first time in 24 hours. But the story didn't end there. Within days, signals began arriving from across the galaxy. Species that had been conquered by the Dominion thanked Earth. Some requested alliance. Others warned of new threats. A few even asked to visit and learn from humanity. The captured alien technology revolutionized human society. Within a month, Earth had built its first interstellar spacecraft. Dr. Anna and Professor Tanaka led the design team, with Kai as an advisor. Where should we go first? President Wilson asked at the launch ceremony. Captain James, now Admiral James of Earth's new Space Defense Force, smiled. Everywhere. The galaxy just learned that humans don't stay down when knocked. Now let's show them what we do when we stand up. The ship, named Rising Sun, after the operation that saved Earth, launched into space. Its crew was international. Americans, Russians, Chinese, Indians, Brazilians, and dozens of other nationalities. Working together. 6 months later, Earth had become a hub of galactic activity. Former slave worlds sent ambassadors. Trade agreements were established. The technology that was meant to conquer Earth had instead launched humanity into a golden age of exploration and cooperation. And in schools across Earth, children learned a new lesson. When the universe knocked humanity down, humanity didn't just get back up. It reached for the stars and pulled them down to Earth. The aliens had demanded submission, but humanity rose in power instead. Asterisk